Hello students, welcome back to another episode of Fun Learning with Cikgu Hema Bio. Now previously I have introduced on certain terminologies before we learn cell division, and today we will look into cell cycle. So here are the learning targets for this lesson. The first one is what is cell cycle? The second one, what are the phases involved in cell cycle? Now what happens exactly at each phases, and also why there are conditions needed for the cell cycle. I mean, like, obviously there is some conditions for the cell cycle to occur, right? There's a reason for cell cycle to occur, right? So these are the 4 learning targets for today. Now, we have plenty of cells in our body, and some of them are still growing. These cells will grow and serve its purpose. Now, its purpose could be cell respiration and so on. Now, when they are growing, however, when the time passes, right, likewise human being, likewise us, the cells will get older or even get wounded or injured along the process. So the injured and dead cells has to be replaced with a new one. Thus, cell division will occur in order to make a new one. Now, the new cells will grow and then continue the cell cycle. In short, this is the life cycle of each cells. They grow, they get age, maybe in the process they get wounded or injured, and hence they need to be replaced. A new cell is produced, and then the new cells then grow, and the cycle continues. And this, all of these processes involved are called under cell cycle. Well, having that I have explained the details earlier, now we can easily list why or in a reason or in certain condition cell cycle occurs. In what condition cell cycle occurs? Okay, the first one, in the case of cell injury and cell death, new cells needs to be produced. Obviously, cell cycle is needed. Now, cell cycle also needed for the cells to grow in size and elongate. And of course, cell cycles also occur in order to produce sperm and ovum. Well, according to your textbook, so this is the definition of cell cycle. Okay, so cell cycle refers to a sequence of events that involves DNA multiplication, division, cell division to produce two daughter cells. Now, this is quite surprising for you maybe because you might be thinking just now we have learned something about cells growing, dying, and being replaced. However, in definition, you see some other things, DNA multiplication and producing two daughter cells. But let me clarify to you, the definition is still correct, the textbook definition is still correct, and you will understand better soon in the upcoming things that I'm going to explain to you. So learning target 1, what is cell cycle? So this refers to definition, and here the definition that you need to know. Now cell cycle in large is divided into two parts. The major part is called interphase, and the other one is called M-phase. Now let's have a look in detail what does this M-phase and interphase contain. Now interphase can be divided into three subphases. The first one is known as G1, the second one is known as S phase, the third one is known as G2 phase. Now G1 will occur first, followed by S, followed by G2, and G2 will then enter M phases. Under M phases there are mitosis or meiosis, and also at the last is followed by cytoplasmic division, which literally you have learned earlier, which is known as cytokinesis. And after cytokinesis, as the new cell has been produced right now, the new cell will undergo the cycle back again, G1S, G2M, and again cytokinesis. So again, it's like a cycle coming back again and again. Now what happens at each cycle, G1S, G2, and M phase? Let's have a look. Now let's have a look in G1 first. In G1 phases, we have new cells. Consider that this is a new cell which is growing. So G1 actually refers to growth. The cells will actually grow in terms of size. When they are growing, the nucleus will start to produce a lots of chromosomes looks like chromatin. Now chromosomes will be called as chromatin when they looks like this, the thread-like structure. Okay, the first point here in G1 phase is the nucleus will have chromatins, thread-like structure, and also this is the point where the cells will start to develop mitochondria for the energy and also endoplasmic reticulum for the protein synthesis. So here the cells grow, the nucleus become bigger to expose the chromatin, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum will be produced, and the proteins here will be synthesized as well. So G1 here refers to the growth process of the cell. Now once the cells have grown actually from G1 they will move to S phase. Now S phase is known as synthesis phase. In this phase whereby you can find the nucleus which contains the chromatin. The chromatin will start to coil up in such manner in the picture here. Each chromosome, each chromatin will coil up in this way. And each chromosome will start to duplicate. When they duplicate the exact copy. So they actually contain the same genetic information. Now, when they have duplicated, and the duplication process is known as replication, so these chromatins now will be known as sister chromatids. These sister chromatids are not separate from each other since they are binded by a structure called centromere. So in S phase, DNA synthesis and replication occurs. So the chromosome will actually replicate, which is duplicate or multiply, and to become something as sister chromatid. And the sister chromatid are joined at the centromere. So hence we can simplify that S phase is known as DNA replication. Now once they have grown, once the chromosomes have actually replicated, then the cells will then go into G2 phase. G2 phase is another yet growth process whereby the cells will further grow and acquire a lots of energy. So in this case, the chromosomes will looks like this, condensed in the form of sister chromatid. The mitochondria will actively gather energy. Why the energy is needed? Because later, once the cells have been matured, they have to decide whether they will go for mitosis or meiosis process, depending on their purpose. So hence, we can say that G2 is also a further growth process. Now, M phase is a phase whereby the cell will actively divide into two actually. For mitosis, we'll have two. For meiosis, we'll have four cells at the end. Now, M phase is made up of mitosis and meiosis, and also followed by a cytoplasmic division, which is known as cytokinesis. Whether it is in mitosis or meiosis, we can see prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Okay. So again, after the M phase and cytoplasmic division, a new cells will be produced, and the new cell will enter the G1 phase again, since the cycle continues as usual. So this actually marks the other learning targets, what are the phases involved in cell cycle, and what happens exactly at each phases. So all the targets has been accomplished.